Welcome back, guys, and today we are going to preview the 2023 season for the Texas Longhorns. I wore the closest thing that I could find to Texas, and it's my TCU polo. Let's get it going. So today we're going to cover a record prediction, player spotlights, and much more. So to see where the team is right now, we got to reflect on last season, which finished in an 8-5 record for Texas and a loss in the Alamo Bowl to Washington. Obviously, this was a little underwhelming for Texas's standards. QB injuries to star quarterback Quinn Ewers and a gut-wrenching loss to Alabama at the beginning of the season was mostly to blame for what was lackluster. The first thing we're going to look at is the 2023 recruiting class for Texas, and it's a good idea of how good they're going to be with the talent they're bringing in, especially with this class because it's so substantial. So Texas managed to get the third highest recruiting class, with obviously headlined by Arch Manning. And I know what you're thinking. I know most of these freshmen won't see playing time, but they're certainly going to make for a hella competitive practices with the first and second team. The next thing to look at is the 2023 transfer class for Texas, and they certainly had some good transfers this year. They were lucky enough to land 3 4-stars from the portal, most of them being defensive, but also some offensive. Noteworthy names being A.D. Mitchell, the wide receiver from Georgia, star, he's gonna play. The next two biggest impact transfers for Texas were on the defensive side of the ball. We got Jalen Catalone, a safety from Arkansas, and Gavin Holmes, a cornerback out of Wake Forest. And then along that, they've got some other players to fill in much needed gaps. Obviously, a big aspect to the success of any team is your returners. And the number one key for Texas's success is the players they're returning. Texas is on pace to return 10 starters from their offense this past year, the only being Bijan Robinson, who obviously went to the NFL. And the most important, and the one who needs to succeed the most, obviously their quarterback, Quinn Ewers. The Ohio State transfer played in 10 games last season, amounting 2,177 yards and a touchdown to interception ratio of 15-6, with a QBR of 64.8, which was good for 53rd in the country. So just an above average quarterback with some room for improvement. Again, that injury stopped him from reaching his full potential, but there's some people speculating for a Heisman finalist type season. I wouldn't go that far, but I think for a season to be considered a success, he needs to be able to control his offense. To be able to do that, he needs to stay away from sloppy mistakes and silly turnovers, which he did some of last season. This all starts by making the simple plays, just not trying to do too much and getting the ball to his talent. He has talent around him, plenty of it. All he needs to do is sit back in the pocket, relax, and get the ball to him. I could definitely see a successful season play out for Ewers. Who knows, maybe even a trip to New York. Another headliner of this Texas team we need to evaluate is their head coach. Steve Sark, going into his third year, he has high expectations. Obviously, he's built on his first 2 years going 5-7 and then 8-5, and people have some high hopes. I would say a Big 12 championship would be considered a success for him. Who knows? Some people have really high expectations, maybe a playoff run. Sark definitely showed signs that he can coach with the best of them last season, obviously against his former boss, Nick Saban. He almost beat him in DKR, so he's definitely showed some signs of that. Moving on to the big piece of cake, the strength of schedule of Texas. And according to FBS schedules, it's the 12th toughest schedule in the country. I would argue that every single game on this schedule is very easily winnable by Texas. Week 1 versus Rice is obviously an easy W, but then they travel to Tuscaloosa in week 2, and that's the game that everyone has circled on their calendar. Obviously, it was a tight contest last year, and Texas hopes to replicate that. For me, at least, in a preview of this game, Texas has the quarterback experience. They have a quarterback who played in this game last year. Alabama does not. That being said, I could easily see Texas making this a close game. And if they somehow pull the W out in the heart of SEC country, they set themselves up for a playoff run. After the non-conference opponents, it doesn't get much easier from the boys out of Austin. The only relief on this schedule is the fact that they get to play 2 new Big 12 teams, being BYU and Houston. Overall, if Texas performs how they usually do, they're gonna find a way to come up short and be disappointing. That's just how it rolls with them. My prediction for them is 9-3. I see losses against Oklahoma, TCU, and Iowa State. Yes, I think they're gonna beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And yes, I think a November game, late fall game against Iowa State is super losable for the Longhorns. Overall, this outcome of 9-3 would be another improvement for Sark, being 8-5 to 9-3, And I think this buys him another year headed to the SEC. And I think by Texas fan standards, this could possibly be considered a success. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. And if you like stuff like this, college football content, go follow my TikTok at corn.bread, BRED_. Thank you again, and stay educated.